All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's broadcast. I am Dr. Chuck Sugohe and your host for tonight. I do have a very special guest with me tonight on tonight's broadcast. I'm going to tell you a bit about her and what she's going to be sharing with us today. This is one broadcast. I think it's going to be the one out of three. We're going to do the second one and then the third one. Our topic is designing your dream life. Designing your dream life. I'm really excited about what we are going to learn. Designing your dream life. So you want to get a paper or a notebook and a pen to write. You want to be ready to learn and take in information that you can process over time. My guest is someone I met a couple of weeks ago. And let me tell you how I met her. She posted a video clip on a community that both of us belong to. And when I listened to that clip, it was like a three and a half minutes, less than 4 minutes clip. It was so loaded. It was so powerful. I had to reach out to her to say, who are you? Where do you get this stuff from? And we normalized our acquaintances. You know, I barraged her with questions. Who are you? Tell me about yourself. And she did. And I asked her if she would be happy and glad to come on our platform to come share some of the stuff that I saw on that video. You know, because I knew, you know, from what I heard, there was a beginning and there was a middle and there was an ending to that stuff. It's huge, big stuff. So I thought it would be awesome to have her share, you know, that depth of knowledge and help us learn how to design our dream life. Today, we have Uchechukwu Mojeku. Uchechukwu Mojeku, that sounds like a rhyme. Uchechukwu Mojeku. She is the principal consultant of Macarius Consulting Services Limited, based in Nigeria, West Africa. And she is our guest tonight. And she's going to be doing session 1 of 3. And her specific topic today is breaking free from limiting patterns, unlocking your empowerment. Breaking free from limiting patterns. Well, Uche, you are welcome to our show tonight.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chu. It's such a privilege to be with you and your community today. Thank you so much. It's a privilege.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I'm really excited to hear all that your agile and powerful mind is going to spew out to us. And I told you that your mind is something else, and I truly am grateful to have an opportunity to learn from that amazing mind of yours. So we are going to get on with the conversation. I'm just going to hand over the mic to you, if there's a mic to hand over. And you're going to take it on. I think you have about 40 minutes to share with us for today's session 1, and then we'll do session 2 and then do session 3. Designing your dream life. Over to you, Uche.
Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you for that wonderful introduction again. And it's a privilege to share with your team today. All the introductions are done, so I'll need to share my screen. So we kick up right immediately. Fantastic. Yep. And here we go. Yeah, because we are consultants, we sort of do a lot around screens and PowerPoint slides and all. All right, so all of the introduction done. I know I don't have a lot of time. Thank you so much for today. So the topic is designing your dream life. And we're going to be going through the different, this week 1, we are looking at breaking free from limiting patterns, unlock your empowerment. And then the next session is laying the foundation for emotional intelligence, the key to effective relationship, and your personal goal achievements as well. And then unleash your authentic self, mastering identity and self-image for dream life. So you see, these topics are well curated for us to grow and be more. So, we are saying, why do we need to break free from limiting patterns and unlock our empowerment? Why do we need to break free from limiting patterns and unlock our empowerment? I'm sure that in different times, you've asked some questions that looked like this. How do I want to be free? How do I create the sort of life I'm looking for? How do I birth this dream I've heard when I was 2? How do I forgive someone? How do I build a beautiful relationship? How do I support my child better? How do I take my career to the next level? How do I navigate the world? For people, most of the time, there's always a thing of who I want to be and who I am currently. And this problem didn't just start from this age. I remember Paul having that same issue. How do I want to react when people get me angry? How do I want to how much money do I want to make? What sort of relationship do I want? It's clear in your eyes, in your face, and then for some people, it's actually not clear. But then, despite the fact that you want that, we are noticing that you are still not able to create that. And trust me, this was a question I started asking at age 8. I was one of those very inquisitive little child. I looked at the earth and I said, why would you bring people on earth to suffer? You are a good God. I used to attend Sunday class, Sunday school, children class then. You are a good God. Why would you unleash humans on earth? Why bother? I said to God, why bother? And I started to ask that question. I want A, but I'm not able to get what I want. And let's even not try to normalize it. It's not normal that life should be lived in gamble. And I want this to sink. It's not normal that anyone lives his or her life in gamble. It's not normal that each time you don't want to react in anger, you find yourself reacting in anger. It is not normal that the times that you don't want to be depressed, you find yourself being depressed. It is not normal that every time that you want to do things, you find yourself not being able to do that. If it is normal, what it means is that we don't have the ability. I'm not saying it doesn't occur. They're two different things. I'm not saying it doesn't occur. It occurs. But what we're saying is that if that is then what life is all about, then we are all doomed. There won't be hope to create anything reasonable. It means that creation dropped us here on earth and say, you know what, guys, you guys just go and feel and die and let's forget about you. But I'm sure that the creator is more intentional. He's a lot more structured. The universe is a lot more structured. So that's exactly what we are diving deep into. And I said to you, I asked God a very important question at age 8. I said, why bring people on earth to suffer? Shouldn't there be a predictable way of creating the sort of results I want, whether in my emotions or in my career or my relationship, whatever thing that it is? Shouldn't there be a predictable way? And I'm sure you also asking that question. And I found that the biggest machine on earth is your mind. That is where great lives are created and failure is birth. So the question then is, what is in this demand? Because that's the answer that I got. I will tell you, the answer I got was, as a man thinketh in his heart, so he is. Of course, the big book by James Allen, this one sentence is more than 10,000 pages of a book, trust me. And that's exactly what we are going to be diving into, to start to show us exactly, we call it the anatomy or the working of the mind, how we got here and how we self-sabotage, and how that if we can start to unlearn self-sabotage, we can then start to create the results that we are looking for. So I know that you're having this conversation. I mean, think about those things that you really would want to change. Think about those things you call a trend, a pattern. Just write it down with a pen and paper. Write it down. Those things you call patterns, and let's see if we can identify the root cause and see how we got here, and then show you how to unlearn, so that you start to create the exact life you want to live, so that you sit in the driving seat of your life and behave and create exactly the way you want to behave and create. So come with me on this. Look at what James Allen said. Men are anxious to improve their circumstances, but unwilling to improve themselves, therefore they remain bound. What is this showing? That the change, the management of anger, the management of my life, it's not necessarily about the things that happen outside of you. It is mostly about who you are. Men are willing and anxious to improve their circumstances, create a new life, manage their relationships better, but they're unwilling to improve on themselves, and therefore they remain bound. So anyone that wants to be unbound and break free of these patterns and create beautiful life must be ready to take this journey into self. That is the conversation. So here is a journey. We're going to spend a lot of time here just to explain to us that when you were born, little child, apart from your DNA, your brain didn't have a language pattern. Apart from, I don't know if that we call that memory. You know, I hear that children, they still remember the music that the mom played while in the womb, and probably the fathers, I don't know how much that memory is, but it's not a lot. So you see, that whole space came in empty. And let me explain to what's the implication of this. It meant that if you lived in China, if you came in through a Nigerian parent or a South African parent, and then you were sent to China, you lived all your life in China, and you stayed with Chinese guidance, you will not speak the South African native language. You will not speak the Nigerian native language. You will speak Mandarin. All things being equal. What that also means is that if you grew up in a family where a royal family, you will be calling yourself royal. Are you seeing? So what you want, what you create in life is not so much as about where you came from. Allow this to sink. It's not so much about your parents and what people call family patterns. It is about what is going on in your head. So what are we saying? You came in new, and then parents started speaking to you. Look at the power of words. They started talking in a certain way, and then after a while, you now realize that your name is Uche. You internalized it as a thing. And then they started showing you how to react to love. I know someone that we're having this conversation with a friend yesterday. He said, this guy actually didn't experience anything that looks like love growing up. So there's no data in the head that shows how to relate with another human being, how to forgive. So this individual grows up and then he's married, but remember that at the deep unconscious level, there's no data for love and loving. So every time that an unpleasant event happens, this person busts out because that's the only tool available to him. And then we keep creating results that we don't like. And then for some people, it's that words were spoken to you. You are not good enough. Oh, you are Africa. Africa is third world. And then I say to people, if that narrative is not serving you, realize that it's someone's narrative. It mustn't be yours. Africa is the continent of the rising star. If that is empowering to you, run with that. Because words are powerful. So what words were spoken to you in certain areas? Oh, no, we don't know how to talk. Oh, no, you don't speak up here. And then listen, these words were spoken over and over and over and over. You were observing the emotions of those people when they were saying it. You were listening to those words. But that's not just all. You were making interpretations. Oh gosh, interpretations is so powerful. You are making interpretations and you are storing those information at the deep unconscious level. Your unconscious mind doesn't sleep. It does not forget. That is why if I start to remind you of certain things that happened 30 years ago, if you're up to 30 years, maybe in secondary school or primary school, you will notice that, oh yeah, I can recall them. And then you notice that the same sort of emotion that was taught 20 years back, you could quickly bring it up just because I elicited that emotion. So what happens? I'm not going to talk a lot about the conscious mind or the unconscious mind today because we don't have so much time. So what happens? The parenting told you what life should be and how life should be interpreted. For some people, is that they don't have a reading culture in their home. So going to school, they are reading for the teacher or they are reading to get a job. No. The question then is, all of those interpretation and perspective about life, are they the perspective required for the results you are looking for? So environment happened to you, parenting happened to you, significant emotional experience. You will notice that those events that happened, that elicited a lot of emotion in you, made you come up with certain decisions and interpretation. And then that became the lens with which you see the life, you see your life. And that's why Milton Erickson says that a lot of people are living in the trance of their past. In short, scientifically said that humans we live every day about 80%, 70% unconscious. What do we mean by that? It is that we're just reliving experiences and using the experiences in the past to interpret brand new data. Let me break down this to us. That we are using our parents' experiences, their parents' experiences, the interpretations that their great-grandparents gave to events to live in 2024. The question is that effective? So you see, when we are having this sort of conversation, it's no longer right or wrong. It is this effective? Is this mindset empowering me? Is this mindset leading to the goal I have set? So what have I just done now? And I've taken my time to show you how you got here, because so you know what? Everything you do now, up to 95%, you learned it. If you grew up in a city somewhere in the world that do not eat rice, that sees rice as taboo, rice will probably not be your best meal. If you grew up in a family that reared cockroach for a living, if you see 1 billion cockroaches coming into a room, you will not be afraid. Are you seeing? So those information literally creates the results. So look at what we have here. External event. External event has no intrinsic meaning. It hits your mental space. You interpret it and give it a meaning. And store it as language. Store it as memory. You know how you have a computer and then you reset your computer and then it stores, you put it in different folders. Your brain does, your mind does the different folders. Decision-making pattern, meta program, values, beliefs, attitudes. Values are pillars because you're a building. And then the moment that is done, you create what we call your internal representation. You create your internal representation of the world. For many people, you just keep reliving. One of the questions I ask people is, what have you taken, and this is an assignment I want you to do. Take your time to review the lives of people that had much influence on you growing up, whether that influence is conscious or not. Ask yourself, what part of their decision making, what memories do I hold with them? What lingo have I learned with them? Do what from them? Do I want my life to end up like their lives? If you don't want, it is time to start to excavate. And trust me, we pick up a lot of very good things from those people that, I mean, from our growing up years. Very, very good qualities. Yes. So I want you to start seeing yourself going forward today like a building. The very first thing to do if you want to renovate a building is not to start to buy the glasses and paint it. That's what people do. No, our body of work, we don't start with painting. Oh, beautiful words, wonderful decoration. No. The foundation and the pillars are shaking. It can produce a beautiful edifice to be admired. Meanwhile, you are created as a beautiful edifice to be admired. So what do? You excavate. And trust me, excavation is painful. Excavation is painful. And as you're excavating, you're asking yourself, what are the areas of my life that I really want to create results in that I'm not able to create results in? What are the areas of my life I'm always having conflicts? What are the areas of what is this thing that for 5 years I've been trying to get away from getting to towards goal or away from goal, but I'm not able to do that. Notice today that the only reason is that the things you've learned in those areas are not supporting what is required. So let me break this down. Auche wants to have a particular amount of money. Say, every month, I want to make, say, 100 million. But then my mindset around money is, oh, money is hard to get. There's not enough money on earth. I just need to hold this down. You see, I'm already thinking scarcity. Why? The programming I received, my belief system around money is not at the same vibrational frequency with the belief system around money for the people that create the sort of money I'm looking for. So what do? I excavate. Where am I coming from? And trust me, it's a painful work. I excavate. What do I think about abundance? And when I started my journey, then I would go out very early in the morning, and then I would sit outside, and I needed to cure myself of a lack mentality. I needed to take it off my life because it can't serve me. It can't take me to where I wanted to go to if I keep thinking not enough. So I'll go outside early in the morning, and then I'll start to say, I'm one with God. I'm one with the God of the universe. I'm one with this abundance. I'm one with this intelligence. I'm one. And then I'm just allowing that to soak into my consciousness. And then I start to understand that everything is energy. That is really about the energy I give out, and not so much about the ones I take in. Because again, we're going to talk about life principles and all of this. And then I'll watch the skies, I'll watch the trees, and I'll realize that everything in nature speaks abundance. I've not seen a tree that has just one leaf in it or 5 leaves. And we've been eating fish, it has not finished. The water in the ocean is still there feeding us water. Air is the abundance, and all these are in creation. And I am one with this entire experience, with this entire intelligence and abundance. And this was me trying to push myself away from the civil servants, make enough, create enough, just be fine mentality, to become audacious. So I don't know where you want to start to do the work. And that's the work of excavation. Becoming aware to know where you are coming from. 40 minutes is not enough for this, but I hope I've been able to lay this foundation. Or maybe you keep having a problem with your wife or your husband. You keep getting into relationships and you're breaking. What is the foundation? Do you think you're not good enough, so anyone is coming to rescue you? Are you unhappy and believe that relationship will make you happy? Or are you having a trust problem? So there's no one that you really actually trust. You can't attract a wonderful person that way. So the frequency of your thoughts, the frequency of the programming you are running with must match the frequency of the result you want to create. So you know the good news here? The good news here is that you learned all of this. If you didn't learn this behavior, we are all doomed. So because you learned it, you can unlearn it. And what are the few steps? I'm just going to share a few steps and then we'll move on. Is to understand that first, everything is raw data. Everything on earth is raw data. Uche, you are stupid, is raw data. It has nothing to do with me. Someone says that to me. Oh, I live enough. It's raw data. Oh, there's no book. It's not data. It's not true. It's not. It's just data. Someone says, oh, there's no job somewhere, or there's no job in this country, for instance. And then another person interprets, oh, that really means that I need to learn transferable skills so that I can, the few jobs that are available, I will get it. Some other person says, oh, there are no jobs in so and so place. Oh, we are doomed. Some other person say, oh, those jobs, okay, let me get on the internet and make some money. Now look at COVID. COVID was one of that, was that event that showed me that between stimulus and response is a gap. And in that gap is your power to choose your interpretation. But you know the problem? Most of the time, we already hijacked before we start to take interpretation. Why? We already working in a trance of disempowerment. And what is that trance of disempowerment? The language patterns, the memory, the decision making, the values, the beliefs are already disjaundiced. It's already jaundiced. So every other data that is coming to us, we are using the jaundiced lens to look at it. Therefore, we are repeating the same pattern of results that we don't like. Humans think they're in control, that humans do not control their life as much as they think. Your programming does. And it doesn't, laying somewhere deep at the unconscious level, and that's why we don't know. How do you start to excavate? Do series of psychological inquiry. Ask yourself, who are those people I learned from? What are the words? What are the memories? What's my decision-making pattern? What are my beliefs? How do I start to install? So now in the building, we have done the excavation. I've given us a bit of framework for how to do excavation. Now we want to show us framework to start to install, because you need to lay another foundation. And it's essentially your belief system. So now you are starting a brand new life, right? Great. So what do you then now start to do? You want to start to create new set of belief systems that will support where you are going to. You see, life is easy when you start on this job. Life is easy when you start on this job. You will no longer say, that is who I am. You will no longer say, she got me angry. No! Because on what basis did you interpret that act as an annoying act, as an insulting act? Remember, it's your programming. Yes, that's the truth. And that interpretation, is it equipping? Is it supporting where you want to go? Another question. So for every time that your emotions want to, maybe procrastination, the question you're asking is, what part of me is showing up? What part of my programming is picking up? And what do I want to interpret this with so that I can create the results I'm looking for? Oh my God, this is so powerful. For everything. You want to lash out in anger. Oh, what part of me is showing up? Because you know what? Those emotions, unpleasant or not unpleasant, they are still data. Emotions are data. Emotions of anger, happiness, peace, love, they are data. They are saying to you, you need to focus on this. And what do you do with data? You analyze it. I remember one day I was telling someone that, we had this small conversation in the family. group, everybody was fine. But at the end of that, I went back because I started learning a culture of psychological inquiry. And I asked myself, so when this person said this, what would you have said? By the time I played back, I saw that, oh, would have done this conversation this way. The way to lead your life is to become aware of your programming, is to become aware that your interpretations, if not conscious, are based on your programming. 70 to 80% living unconscious in a disempowerment trance. And then you're asking yourself, what interpretation do I need to start to getting into my life so that I get into a trance of empowerment? Milton Erickson here says, most people walk through the world in a trance of disempowerment. Our work is to transform that into a trance of empowerment. That's a conversation. Why is it a trance? Because this has happened over and over and over and over again. Repetition. Now we see why the job of personal growth is hard. Because the repetition got you here. The repetition got us into a disempowering state. Repetition will take us to empowering states. Yeah, you've heard me, but the work may take 5 years. The work may take 1 year, depending on how you routinize it, because something happens. The moment you start a new journey, your brain, first of all, gives you resistance. Now, oh, what is this? No data. I can't interpret this. What's this about? And then you start to do it, repeat. It starts to create what we call neural bridge that will support that. We won't talk about that today. We'll talk about that as we go on. So everything is raw data. The unique meaning an individual chooses then affects the internal state, subsequent behavior, and outcomes. How then can you start to choose powerful meanings? And that's where we are stopping. I'm going to give us a few foundations. One is, you could just go and think about the laws of life, the principles of life. Those are one of the ways to start to create good meaning. So one of the principles is whatever you give is what will be given back to you. With the same measure you give will be given back to you. When I found that, I realized that I am not loving people because of them. I'm loving people because I really love me. To hate others is to hate yourself. Because with the same measure I give to people, I'll be giving back. That cured me of a lot, a whole lot. I don't need to, I'm not loving you because of you. I'm loving you because of me. It's a deep down belief. I said that beliefs are structures, right? Beliefs are pillars, yes. Pillars and foundation, that's what beliefs are. So you go out of your way to do things because you know that the person that you're in the meeting with is the person that sets the specs in place. That's the person that you are in a conversation with. That's the CEO, that's the chairman of the board that you need to have conversations with. And then I realized I already talked about abundance. So I've given up on again about love. So who is that person you're not forgiving yet? Because you know what happens to unforgiveness? You are living in an energy vibration of negativity. And that's a lot of what you attract. Because remember, like attract, we're not going to talk a lot about that today. So I've talked about love, principles of life. The next one, I want to talk about abundance. We live in an abundance universe. Everything is in abundance. All I need to do is to work myself up to that energy of abundance. Another one that is very close to it is that you are not a physical being having a spiritual experience. You are a spiritual being having a physical experience. And I don't care which religion you are practicing. Are there times that you sit down and you really think about someone, and then all of a sudden the person calls you? What is that about? Are there times that you're really thinking about something, and then that thing you're thinking about happens? Are there times you really dream of something and that thing happens? What do you call that? You are a spiritual being having a physical experience. Now, the joker is the spirit being is limitless. What can't you create? Because the spirit being is always seeking for expression of self in bigger, better ways. Anything you put into it, it wants to expand on. Anything you focus it on, its energy goes and it gets better in. So So if living in a particular area or being born in Africa or living in Africa, or I mean, whatever story that it is, the circumstances of your birth, your environment, whatever that it is not such that maybe you are not yet proud of or you think it's against you. Hey, you are a spirit being, you are limitless. You are one with God. So you step out in the morning and you are saying, I am not working with the energy, with the intelligence of my family DNA. No, I am working with a limitless source of intelligence. But that's true. You don't need to belong to any religion to realize that there was a time you couldn't count 1, 2, 3, 4. And then through repetition, you started to learn it. And then it got into your unconscious level. And then your unconscious mind is the part of you that connects to the spirit being. And then all of a sudden, you don't just count 1, 2, 3. You can do mathematics, you can do quadratic equation. How did you get there? That is the same way you can start to create massive things the moment you stepping into the knowing and the awareness and the practice of understanding that you are a spirit being, having a physical experience. That intelligence is not of location. Intelligence is not in language. Intelligence is of the spirit being. That all you need to do is to focus consistently in that area, no matter what it is. And then you realize that the genius you will start to come alive and you create powerfully. Notice that every time that you see pictures, sounds, feeling, people say things to you, you have the power to make interpretations. Do you want to continue to make interpretations based on what you have known up until now? Or do you want to start to create new pillars, belief systems, structures, foundations that will drive your interpretations going forward? And then if you have to write it down, you write it down. And then because we know that the very moment you make interpretation, you determine your emotions. The moment you determine your emotions, you react. And then you create the results. And then we do this over and over and over and over again. At times, 70-80% at the unconscious level. And then we say things are not working. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will rule you. And you call it fate, F-A-T-E. How do we start to make the unconscious conscious? How do you start to know what is in your programming that is not creating the results you're looking for? How can you start to deactivate, to excavate? How can you start to build new pillars? How can you start to repeat and reinforce so that the exact life you're looking for will come to you? Nature is kind. We live in a loving universe. People are not wicked. People are people. And because they are people, they act in certain ways. So we can't, almost everything you're looking for is resident in people, in information, in resources, in all. And then you are living in a world and you're saying, oh, people are wicked. Don't deal with people. You're saying, don't live a fulfilling life. Don't make a lot of money. Don't be happy. Because human beings are literally the powerhouse for your happiness. And I say to people, if everybody you know on earth are bad, then you're probably the bad one. So why don't you start to give love instead? And then start to learn human behavior. There's this personality assessment, there's emotional intelligence, there's a whole lot. There's Myers-Briggs. Why don't you become an observer in life so that you will treat people based on the capacity they have, what they can handle, loving them in that way. And the fourth one that I'm giving to us is when you start on this journey, you become a curious person. So what killed that curiosity? Again, for a number of us, is when we're growing up, you don't ask certain questions. I couldn't even ask those questions. I said I was asking God. I couldn't ask the adults in my life because maybe they would have like, shut up, what are you saying? How would you blame God? That's how it will seem. They would want to save God for me. So you need to become curious. You no longer judge. You no longer label. You say, why? What programming does this person have that is making this person have this come up with this behavior, manifest this behavior? What thinking? Let me understand what you're thinking that made you make this decision. What memories are running at your deep unconscious level that is driving this response? What is behind this procrastination? Because now you know that people are repeating patterns that they learned. That if you start to observe, to understand their patterns, you can help them. And then you can also help yourself. So look at the last picture we had here. Your thought is energy. And then they become an idea. Gets down. Idea is at a point where it's not you've made interpretation. Your emotion alters. You push it to the environment. You react. And then you create your results. So the reticular activating system is a filter that prioritizes what the sensory information to be let into the mind. Is the focus alert. The only reason I brought this out is that in the world here, there's not a lot of negativity. Oh, no, you don't do this to me. Oh, people are going viral on Facebook. Oh, all these are happening. No, you're just activating your wrath in the wrong way. I'm sure there's been a time you wanted to buy maybe a red car or a red shirt, and all of a sudden a particular hairstyle or a particular shirt, and then all of a sudden you're noticing a lot of people are using that same thing. Yes, that's your areas that is activated. So every time that you are seeing a lot of negatives in the world, know that you have activated your areas against yourself. While we don't see the world the way that the world is, we see the world the way that we are. Okay, I think we need to wrap this up here, just in case there are questions I need to handle. It's a serious journey. You will have to do it afraid. We don't experience the world the way that the world is. We experience the world the way we are. Remember, excavate, build new structures through new belief systems, principles of life, giving us about 4 in this short time. I hope that helps. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, sir. That's great. Yes, please, sir.
Have a few minutes. Let me throw 1 or 2 questions. The RAS that you talked about, can you talk about it a bit more? How do you get it to work for you as against working against you?
Fantastic. So
what's the full meaning of RAS? Reticular
activating system.
Reticular activating system. All right.
Yeah. So because as humans, we have like 2 million bytes of information that can hit our mental space per second, right? If the conscious mind is allowed to process that much data at the same time, it will cause overwhelm.
Okay.
So what the mind does is that it filters what it will process, but it doesn't filter on its own. It waits for you to inform it what it should to know what it will process. It waits for your thoughts to tell it what to process. Example, you're moving into an area, you're a new mom and you're looking for a crèche. You will likely see a lot of the crèche on the road. But if you're a single girl, maybe a child or maybe you just left school and you're looking for a job, you will likely live in that location for 1 year and you will not see a single crèche. That's your RAS working. Because you have not programmed what is important to you. So this we teach in sales, this we teach in leadership, this we teach in parenting. It's what you tell your mind is important that your mind sees. So I tell the mind that, so for instance, it was during COVID, a lot of people went out of the television. Why? Every time they see those pictures, they are informing their mind. Because again, understand that the mind learns whether consciously or unconsciously. It takes the shape of anything that is placed upon it consistently. Doesn't know what is real or imagined. So once after a while, the mind picks up anxiety. And then they start having anxiety spells. They go out and then somebody says something and then they become afraid. Because in that relationship, they are projecting afraid. There's no trust in you. You will see scenarios where people are not trustworthy. There's no money inside of you. That's a thought. You will see no money. So that's what the concept of the RAS is about. You program it by what you put into it. I want a red shirt. And then you go out, you've seen people with red shirts. All that information has been in the atmosphere, but you've just told your mind what is important.
Okay, so now how do we, I want you to throw more light on this. We want to program our minds for abundance, for peace, for love, for light, for all the virtues that we are supposed to. How do we do it? That's the first one. Then the second one, why is this so difficult?
Fantastic. Now, you need to realize that everything is communicating. Everything is communicating. Everything is communicating. Everything is talking to you, right? So, how do you then start to pick up the sort of, because what you're looking for is how do you want to start to see these things around you? So you talked about abundance. Remember excavation. If we are running with money is finishing, money is not enough, you will see all of that in the news. Yesterday in a group, someone sent a chat to say the particular school is giving scholarships. Some person responded and said, oh, I hope the indigents will get the scholarship. He's giving scholarship to indigents. And the person says, oh, I hope the indigents will be able to get the initial money that is required for the scholarship. And then I went in and said, Laudable, please, let's share this around, let people get it. Are you seeing mindsets? Scholarship, the person is really finding something negative to attach to it. Not because the scholarship is not good, but within you, as a man thinketh in his heart, so he is. Guard your heart with all diligence, for out of it comes the issues of life. So you have to do that internal work of sitting still, spending time with self to excavate your belief system around money and abundance and install a new one and sit still and keep installing it until your energy changes. The very moment your energy changes, you start seeing abundance. So you get into a place, oh, this house is beautiful. I like your perspective. And if it is peace, you then start giving people understanding, oh yeah, it may actually be about, but isn't that what the person learned? You start understanding people. You start giving advanced forgiveness, because you've understood that what you give is what you receive. I think that's what fits. That's just the summary. What you give is it that law? What you give is what you receive. With the same measure you give shall be given back to you. So what are you giving to the earth? What are you giving to the universe? I mean, that's also the same principle for value, for business. What value are you bringing into the business? That's exactly what will come to you. The moment you start to give, your energy vibration will shift and you start to attract those things you are intentionally giving out. I don't know if that answers that.
Yeah, it does. So you go to the second question. So why is it so hard?
Yeah, again, we are starting with everything is communicating. Because remember what we said, that up to 80 to 70% of the time, people are living unconscious. People are living the lives of their parents and forefathers. They're not living their lives. So all of the conversation in the environment, they are absorbing it without knowing it. So someone said that 2% of the people think. 3% think that they think. 95 rather that they think. So if we work with that 95, we are saying that 95% of people are absorbing information from the environment, and they are not conscious to interpret it in a way that it empowers their journey. So I go to Facebook, I see something, I'm not interpreting it, I go up it, I take it all in, and then I'm running with it. That's why he said that. I don't think John Maxwell said that almost everything you're looking for is on the other side of your comfort zone. Because your comfort zone is all the things you have learned. All the things you have learned. And we're now saying, unlearn, excavate. When everybody is saying, no, the world is wicked, you ask the person, how many wicked people do you know? Compared to how many billion people on earth? Why don't you determine how people treat you by being loving, knowing that the contract you have is with the God of the universe and not with people. People may not pay you back, but you see the God of the universe, he will pay you back.
Wow, I am so grateful. Our time is up for today. I'm going to reserve a few of my questions for session 2. But Uche, you've done very, very, very well. You've thrown out bombs, like real serious bombs. I want you to get ready for picking up the pieces. Yeah, thank you for sharing. Thank you for dropping those nuggets of truth and wisdom. My desire is to help people develop their potential, become all they're capable of becoming. Become what God had in mind when they were formed in their mother's wombs. And we have all these limitations that life has thrown at us. And like you rightly said, in the environment we grew up, we were being programmed without realizing it. We were being shaped unconsciously without realizing that we are actually taking on the shape of the environment, the people we grew up, the way we were parented, the way we were brought up, and those things have formed who we are. Now we have to consciously reform ourselves. We have to consciously change who we are so that we can begin to have a different set of results. So if you're listening today, there are important questions you need to you need to ask yourself. You need to watch this teaching again, because some of the things are so deep and so profound that you need to listen to them or watch them again, pause.
Your volume, please.
Sorry?
Okay, it's back now.
Okay. So you need to, listen, pause, write it down, think about it, listen again. And, if you have questions, let us have those questions. And then we're going to have part 2 next week. And it's going to go in 3 parts. But for today, we are grateful for your time. Uche, I know you're a busy person and you've generously sown this time into the lives of the people who are on this platform, who listen. We are grateful for that. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for being available to help change the world and make it a better place. We appreciate your gift. Thank you.
Well, sir, thank you, everyone. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, you're a star. You're genius. I think I just want to say to everyone here, you can create the life you want to have. Just go back, listen to this, and practice. You will notice that you make a lot of success, progress in your life.
All right. Well, good night, everybody. We will be back next week for another edition and the second part 2 of 3. And we're going to go 3 parts. But thank you, Uche. Good night. Good night, everyone who tuned in for tonight. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. Good night. Yeah.